why should we care about flow? Like, how is this helping us? So let's look at the clear benefits that designing for flow brings to you. So this is the pitch. So on the right hand side, you've got the benefits of flow. Apparently, when you enter into a state of flow, that percolates in other areas of your lives, and it gets you into the habit of well-defined future goals. Number one, it fosters intellectual growth. So you can actually sense that you're becoming better at an activity, and it builds self-confidence, and there is overall growth. And positive cognitive states. So obviously, this is something that you're doing with your mind, your concentration. Therefore, it's almost like training your mind. With this said, I think one of the scarcest commodity that we have on the planet today is not time, but it's attention. And most people, when they say time is money, I think what they're really referring to is attention is money. Because you might have 10 hours, but if in those 10 hours you're only truly attentive about, let's say, five, then your productivity is only actually the true denominator is 5 hours, not 10 hours. And therefore, you're not paying for Netflix or all of the other YouTube and other digital mediums with money, but you're actually paying them with your attention, because this is what they are trying to take away from you. Similarly, in the workplace, again, there is research. There's also a wonderful book by Cal Newport. I think, yeah, it's called Deep Work. And one of the concepts there is about how the marketplace rewards attention, or employees were able to regulate their ability to concentrate and provide attention to certain activities, and uh, and and uh, and control themselves. I think that is the scarce commodity. So how do you train yourself? How do you practice yourself in a world where everybody wants your attention? It's not just your money. In fact, the product itself is most likely free, and you're paying with your attention, as I mentioned. So in this process, the another important concept or the technical term to know is an autotelic personality. Apparently, when you indulge in the state of flow, that makes your personality move in the direction of an autotelic. And the definition of an autotelic person is somebody that seeks out goals that require effort, somebody that enjoys the journey over the destination. So you're obviously now trying to, like, somebody who enjoys the state of flow. I think that's the important thing. So these are all the corollary things that come associated with when you get into a state of flow. You have to be engrossed, high concentration. You want to be doing the activity. It can't be too easy. Therefore, you're moving towards activities that are challenging or challenging enough. So in one line, if I have to summarize what flow does to your life, I think flow adds value to your moments, because at the end of the day, all of life, the 100 years or whatever that we have, if you according to this definition of the good life, it's basically the percentage of waking time where you have deep immersion, or where you're fully engrossed in an activity. So, from that definition, if you're increasing that flow time, then you're increasing your quality of life or the goodness of your life. Some of the technical concepts are dynamic equilibrium. So, essentially, when you're in flow, you're in a state of dynamic equilibrium where you're doing things, but it's exactly matched. Then you're in a state of optimal arousal. Interactionism, I think what they're trying to refer here is the research is not just looking at you alone as the subject, but how it's about you, the subject, and the environment. So, how do you interact as a unit, as a system? And for flow, both of them are important. So it just can't be you alone. Then you've got, as I've already talked about, regulation of attention. Attention is money. And it's important to know that if you're in a state of flow, you don't have any more spare bandwidth. So if there is a little fly that's hovering around when you're like conducting a symphony in complete flow, then you will not be able to like register that. Even if there's also like gorilla experiments and things like that that they teach you in business schools, where you're focused on one thing and a gorilla comes on the screen, you wouldn't notice it. So again, things where you're like totally your mental bandwidth, all the bits are engaged. So you don't have any more information free or any more bits free to absorb or latch onto new information. This also, actually, I'll mention it now that it's here. It's much deeper. It goes beyond this concept, but it's probably worth introducing very quickly. Is consciousness, or prajnanam, as the Vedanta school of philosophy talks about it. So information is what latches itself onto your attention. So you basically, and that attention then manifests itself in your consciousness or your awareness. So that's one definition of consciousness according to the Western psychology, where you're looking at, okay, there is, if you're aware of something, then your consciousness has been affected by the information which has then been processed through your attention. I hope you guys found this video useful. Please share it with your friends and family. I'll be back with more content soon. Till then, stay safe, take care, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.